As you watch this segment, think about how the eye, nerves, and brain all work together to focus, transport, and identify images. Karen Christensen lives what should be an ideal life in the wooded valleys of British Columbia. But Karen suffers from an eye disease, retinitis pigmentosa, that is slowly robbing her of her sight. As its name suggests, this disease affects the retina, the part of the eye that contains cells that turn light into impulses that are sent to the brain.
Where most people have about 170 degrees of vision around their head, I have about 3.
Karen found out about her disease at a very young age.
My family started noticing I was having difficulties picking up all my toys, so they took me into the family ophthalmologist, and he detected it right away.
Although doctors prescribed glasses for her condition, they realized that they were fighting a losing battle to save Karen's sight. Over time, everyone who suffers from retinitis pigmentosa will become blind. The images that Karen sees look as though they are at the bottom of a long, narrow tunnel. The images are so blurry that they can hardly be identified. To understand Karen's disease, it's helpful to know how the eye works, which is something like a camera. Light passes through the camera's curved lens, which focuses the image. The image forms behind the lens and is recorded on the film or the digital sensor. In a similar way, light passes through the lens of a human eye. It first passes through the cornea. This transparent membrane protects the eye from dust. It also bends the light passing through the eye slightly so that the resulting image will be focused. Light then enters the eye through the pupil, the opening of the eye, and passes through the iris, sheets of smooth muscle that expand and contract to regulate how much light enters the inside of the eye. In bright light, the iris contracts or shrinks around the pupil. This keeps too much light from entering. But when it is dark, the iris expands to let as much light as possible into the eye, ensuring that we can see even when little light is available. Then, light reaches the lens. The shape of the lens changes constantly to focus an image. Muscles surrounding the lens expand and contract, focusing the light as it travels to the retina, located at the back of the eye. The retina functions in a similar way to the film or digital sensor of a camera. Once an image has been brought into focus, thousands of receptor cells called rods and cones react to light that strikes the retina. Rod cells let us see black, white, and shades of gray, while cone cells let us distinguish among more than 200 different colors. Each cell triggers a nerve impulse. Nerves that lie on the retina create an electrical signal. This signal is carried to the brain through a connection called the optic nerve. It is only in the brain that these electrical signals are interpreted as objects. But for people like Karen, who suffer from retinitis pigmentosa, the rod cells die away, leaving a series of blind spots throughout the retina. Information that should be traveling to the brain never gets there. Luckily, Karen's children will probably not suffer from retinitis pigmentosa. For her, however, there are only a few options. Scientists are considering new tools that may give hope to people with retinitis pigmentosa. One such tool is called a bionic eye.
The good news is that where people have damaged retinal cells, the optic nerve is still in working order. And if you could tap into the optic nerve, you could still send electrical signals to the visual centers of the brain. And that's exactly what these bionic devices do.
Scientists are exploring two methods of creating a bionic eye. In the first, a tiny video camera set in a pair of glasses transmits an image directly to a chip implanted on the retina. This chip will then deliver an electrical signal of an object directly to the optic nerve and from there to the brain. Another method bypasses the use of video equipment altogether. Scientists hope that the use of a silicone chip containing 5,000 light-sensitive cells will transmit images that damaged rod cells cannot once it is inserted under a flap of tissue just beneath the retina. These new techniques offer some hope for the future to people who are visually impaired. How does the iris control the amount of light that enters the eye?